Merge unto me, upon me you gaze. Welcome to the live stream for this July 1st, 2023. Today we're going to be talking about everyone's favorite adventurer, and yes, that means Philomena Kunk. Never mind. I'll talk about her later. We're obviously going to talk about Indiana Jones, because I said I would promise you guys I would watch Indiana Jones, and we will talk about Indiana Jones. First, let's take a look at your comments. Oh, I need to set up my social thing. I didn't even do that. Look, I was all ready, getting all ready here. I gotta give people time to get in the stream, because you know how YouTube is. They'll notify you about a month after I live stream. That way we all know to come check out the live stream. Hold on, let me get this thing going here. Come on, hit OK. Turn it on. All right, now it's on. There we go. Jacobus Wolf says first, also best. There you go. Ravik Rai says now it's here. I just didn't type anything until now. DSGR Remo. Hey John, came to say hi. How you guys doing? Chuck, hey, you got the notification? You actually saw it? Mr. Pink doesn't know what Indiana Jones is. That's probably a good thing. I'm missing Canada Day for this. This ought to be good. Says Rigel7. I know the Canadians. You gotta try to beat the Americans, right? You gotta have your Canadian Day. Gotta have a Canadian Day a couple days before the American Day. We got America Day. So, hey, so welcome. We got 17 now. People coming into the chat. So, let's talk about Indiana Jones. All right, so I think I'll do this. I got my big old drink today. This is tea. So, not worry about that. I'm not a movie reviewer. I like to talk about movies, but I'm not a movie reviewer. So I can give you a little bit of discussion about the movie, but I'm probably going to start dipping into spoilers. So if you haven't seen the movie, like maybe come back. When I take the hat off, that's when we know we're no longer talking about Indiana Jones. How's that? We'll do that. When I take the hat off, it means I'm talking about something else. But as long as the hat is on, I'm talking about Indiana Jones, and it could get into spoilerish territory. I would say, if you want to see this movie, just go see it. Just go see it. If you want to see it, go see it. A lot of people probably have already made up their mind about the movie one way or the other, or at least made up their mind whether they want to see it or not. I don't think reviews really matter. I don't think my review's going to matter that much on that opinion. So, but I have some things I want to say, and I can't say them without getting into spoilers. I cannot get into some things about spoilers. So, look, here's I disclaim this all the time. I'm not entirely sure if spoilers, if you're depend on how you approach movies. You know, if you approach a movie in that you want to be completely taken on a journey, sometimes spoilers, will ruin that experience and you don't know what's going to happen next. But sometimes knowing spoilers will be able to, kind of lead you down the path. All right? Am I pussyfooting enough around? Is that enough? Is that enough? Hey, Jack Ripper, how you doing? So, is this about India? This one will not be about India. If you haven't seen it, how can you see it? Well, you have to watch it in a movie theater. Just watch the movie today. It's a good movie. I'll slightly disagree. I don't hate it, but I didn't love it. Chuck says, surprised it's not whiskey. I figured watching DOD that you'd need something stronger than tea. Dial of Destiny. Thumbs up or down? So before we get into spoilers, it's utterly forgettable. It's like a McDonald's hamburger. It tastes good when you're eating it. It's fine, but it's like you're not going to remember anything. So that's my expectation. That's my overall feeling about the Indiana Jones before we get into spoiler territory. It's just, all right, I guess I can give you like just kind of generalities. I feel like the filmmaking is fine. I feel like the adventure stuff and the action scenes are fine. They're not like edge of your seat great. They're not like, I compare everything to Mad Max Fury Road. Is still my like top movie as far as action adventure. That movie had a visceral feeling of action to it. This movie has action and stuff is well choreographed, but it looks like choreography and it looks great. It's fine. Oh, God, I can't believe Water Closet just said this. Teddy's mustache was distracting. So, Teddy is essentially the short round of this movie. And yeah, I totally agree. The mustache bugged me. Like he's too old to be playing like that role. You know, it just he's just too old to play the role. Jack Rippers asked, I watched Chris Gore's review on the fence of whether I want to see it or not. I've been watching a lot of reviews because I'm trying to see if anybody else picked up that one thing that really bugged me. I don't think anyone has bugged me about it. It's bugged me, so it's going to be highly spoilerish. But this one thing bugged me, and I haven't heard anyone say this exact thing yet. So it's like I always watch reviews when I watch a movie and I know I'm going to talk about it on stream. I want to review it. I want to say I always look around and see what other people are saying and get a sense of what other people think, what thoughts are before I go in there and say, well, it's me. But yeah, there's one thing that really bugs. So anyhow, in a nutshell, it's fine. I mean, maybe I'm just so worn down on all these franchise movies that I don't care that much. I mean, you've probably heard other reviewers, the first 20 minutes has a pretty good little action set sequence in it that has a de-aged Harrison Ford. And it didn't work for me. It works for like half of the audience. Half the audience kind of likes it, but half of people the de-aging doesn't work. And for me, I belong in the second half. The problem is it's fine in a still image. It's fine it's fine in a shot by itself. But as soon as you cut to another actor, like you realize, oh shit, that's a digital Harrison Ford because the other actor is real, and you see like something imperfections and sharpness of the face. It's got like a little bit more presence. But you cut back to the aged Harrison Ford, like oh, that dude's not really there. Like when you compare, like the real one from the other one, that's the problem. That hat is at a very jaunty angle. It's the only way to wear a fedora, really. Like you don't want to wear a fedora just like straight on. That's just lame looking. You gotta make it, a little bit classy there. Shaw kidnapped Teddy. Short Round never felt like that he was kidnapped. Yeah, Short Round was as annoying as Short Round was. Maybe as I was a kid when I saw it, so it was like I could relate to the kid kind of a thing. But yeah, Teddy just anyhow. If you don't know who Teddy is, he's like a sidekick to the girl character, played by Phoebe Waller-Bridge. All right, so have I beaten around the bush enough as far as spoilers? So from here on out, like be wary. If you haven't seen the movie, or if you really really want to see the movie without spoilers, then you should probably bounce until I take the fedora off. Or at least put the audio down. Jack Ripper says Temple of Doom was my favorite. So I have an interesting. I'm just going to give it a little more time for people to bounce, but I'm actively telling people to leave. That's terrible. When I was a kid, Temple of Doom ran on TV a lot. So my dad would tape it on VHS, and I would basically watch Temple of Doom on repeat. Like as a kid playing with my toys. Like that was one of the movies that was that was on TV a lot more than Raiders. And then Last Crusade was never on TV. You'd have to go to the movies. You have to go to the Blockbuster to rent. Last Crusade. So I've watched Temple of Doom like ad infinitum. I don't know, hundreds of times probably. I've watched Raiders maybe 70 times. I don't know, because it was also on TV and my dad taped it. But Temple of Doom is more fun to watch when you're playing with your toys because it's a lot more action, right? So I kind of like Temple of Doom. To me, it has a real special place in my heart. It's Temple of Doom, and I don't get why everyone hated that movie so much. I kind of liked it. So, but I think Raiders is probably a better movie than Temple of Doom. And then Crusade is I always liked it because I was exposed to it very little. So I've only seen like Crusade Last Crusade maybe like 5 times, like a handful of times. Whereas Temple of Doom probably hundreds of times. Have I played Lego Xbox movies? No, I haven't played. I don't own an Xbox. But anyhow. All right, let's get into it. Okay, so I haven't really organized my thoughts, but let me stop bearing lead and tell you I left the theater with my jaw on the floor. I could not believe, not the third act, I could not believe the last 5 minutes. I thought that was incredibly stupid. Like, okay, so if you guys have seen the movie, if you don't know, okay, let me give you a little bit of a plot point. So the Dial of Destiny is something that Archimedes comes up with. I should probably just put a little bit. You know what? Before I do that, I'm going to just change the title real quick. Spoilerish. I know so many people pissed off at me when I'm just going to just tell everybody what happens. Okay. So the Dial of Destiny is this artifact that basically allows for time travel. Right? But the third act conceit is that it's not really a time travel to anywhere in time. It's a time travel directly back to Archimedes' time when Syracuse is under siege from the Romans. So they all fly back there, and they think they're going back to like Nazi Germany time, but they actually go back all the way to Archimedes' time. And so there's a lot blah 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 stuff happens. Okay, I'm okay with that. Like I hear people like go like, oh, he goes to Roman time. That's insane. Well, you know, in the end of Last Crusade, he's talking to a Knight Templar. So, you know, him dealing with historical figures like that, it kind of works, right? Or it's kind of in the tradition. I kind of like that. But at the end, and then the movie, you know, Harrison Ford's or Indiana Jones is like he's been shot and he's dying. And he's like, just leave me here. I want, you know, I've been studying this moment in history for all my life. I want to see it for real. You know, just leave me here. I'm going to die anyway. And then Phoebe Waller-Bridge, the goddaughter, I forget her character's name. She's like, no, you can't go back. And then she just like, okay, I'm sorry to do this. She punches him out. And then he wakes up like, and then the next cut to black, next, you know, fade up. And he's back in his apartment in New York City back in 1969. Right. Okay. So, you know, he's back in modern time, and she's kind of explaining, oh, you know, I couldn't have left you because you could not have destroyed time. Not that flying a bomber back into history, like machine gunning Roman soldiers on triremes and, you know, and giving Archimedes your modern day watch, like none of that would have changed time. No, leaving Indiana Jones there, that would have really messed up the timeline. No, that's fine. Anyhow. So they're back. So, and I forgot to mention, you know, Indiana Jones at this point is a very sad character. His son Mutt from the Crystal Skull, his adoptive son, or I don't know, his real son, I can't remember. But anyhow, he died in Vietnam. He went to Vietnam because he was trying to, you know, rebel against his dad, which really makes no sense because Mutt is a greaser. He would not go to Vietnam. He would not join the army. Anyhow, but he explains that after the death of Mutt, that Marion was so overcome with grief that she just left and she served him divorce papers in the first part of the movie. But now at the very, very end, he wakes up, he's back in New York, and who should arrive? Oh, it's Marion, and she's there to like restock the refrigerator. Because why? Why is she back? I don't know. And the movie never told me why she came back. I tell my friend this, like, it's The Simpsons. There's a Simpsons episode where like they're showing at the old folks home, they're showing the movie Gone with the Wind. And at the very end of the movie, you know, Scarlett's telling Rhett Butler, he's like, you know, what do I do? He's like, frankly, my dear, I love you. Let's get married. And then they get together and they just like, hee, and they get married. And it's like, that whole final thing where they bring Marion back with absolutely no explanation of why she's back. Like zero explanation. Maybe someone saw the movie and can explain. I did not catch any explanation why she decided to come back. My only thing is maybe the Phoebe Waller-Bridge character went to go talk to Marion and say, hey, he's not such a bad guy after. Come on back. But it's like, it was so unbelievably shoehorned in to just have her show up and like everything's okay now. Like I don't get how that happened. I just don't get how they show that was just so, you know, like everything else in the movie. I'm like, all right, it's Hollywood franchise movie making. It's not particularly special. But to have Marion, just after making a whole big deal about she was so, overcome with grief at the loss of her son. But oh yeah, this lady that neither of them really knew very well. Well, because Marion didn't know the Phoebe Waller-Bridge character, but she was able to convince Marion to come back. No, 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 no. This is stupid. This is absolutely, unbelievably stupid. I don't understand how that. And then they did the whole scene where they basically recreate that scene from Raiders where she's like, he's like, where's it hurt? And he's like, oh, it hurts. Doesn't hurt. Where doesn't it hurt? He's like, it doesn't hurt here. It doesn't hurt here. It doesn't hurt here. And it doesn't hurt. Okay, never mind. But no, they recreate it, but they kind of gender swap it, and it's fine. It's cute. It's sweet, but it's completely undeserved. It's completely out of left field. Completely. And I don't understand how they could have. I was like, and then dun 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 dun. My jaw's just on the floor. Like, what the fuck just happened? Why did they just? It was the most incredibly lazy, stupid ending I have ever seen. Maybe not. I'm being hyperbolic for the point of drama. Are you not entertained? No, I don't mind the Roman stuff. I don't mind the time travel stuff. I don't mind that. But it's the reintroduction of Marion that was so unbelievably ham-fisted and just ridiculously stupid. I haven't seen anyone yell about this part yet. Like, maybe they were just so like overwhelmed by the sheer stupidity of some other parts of the movie. But when they got to that part, I'm like, guys, what the hell happened? Maybe you guys can tell me in the chat. Let's see what these comments are saying. They had some unresolved grief over the death of their son. She came back because Indy nearly dying, put in perspective of what it means to lose each other. I don't know. That seems. I didn't pull that from what the scene. It was literally like, well, how would I guess Phoebe Waller-Bridge would have had to tell this other lady, Marion, would have told Marion that he almost died. And then he's like, oh, we'll get back together again. That seems really, that feels like a stretch. I feel it's a stretch. I know why they did it. Like, why, cynically, why. Because they had to put Marion in the movie. They couldn't, it's like you had to have some remember berries in there. Yeah, they get Sala. I'm surprised they didn't get Short Round to be in the movie. Maybe he just didn't want to do it. He went to the premiere. He wasn't like he's unfriendly, but maybe, I don't know why they just didn't put him in the movie. Why did they put Kate Capshaw? Well, I probably. Anyhow. $295 million. It's not, I don't think it's a lazy choice. I don't think the inclusion of that scene at the end was a lazy choice. I think it was a calculated, like, the joke I was making earlier about the Gone with the Wind with the re-edited ending. It's called the happy ending for senior citizens. Because you want that happy ending. Oh, yay, she's back. But I don't think a woman who is so grieved at the loss of her husband loss of her son that she is inspired enough to like divorce her husband is going to. I can't make that. It doesn't jive with my sense of reality that. Oh, your husband almost died too. Oh, it's all cool. Let's go back and. I don't buy that. I don't buy that at all, man. How was Mangold's direction? I would say competent. Like, obviously, he has a lot of ability to direct like action scenes as far or movement, like because there's a lot of Ford versus Ferrari had a lot of great movement of cars, and you see some of that style coming into the movie. So a lot of the car chase scenes have that Ford versus Ferrari, the same kind of sensibilities. It's very slick. It's very well done. What it lacks is is kind of what it lacks is sort of a dramatic purpose. I'm coming up with this information or this idea right now. When I was a kid, again, playing Raiders of the Lost Ark, watching Raiders of the Lost Ark, watching Temple of Doom. If you remember Raiders of the Lost Ark, there's a lot of chase scenes and a lot of were basically essentially platform games, right? You have two platforms, like say two cars, and they're chasing after each other, right? Dun, 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 dun. And then they become like a platform game where Indiana Jones has to get up on this car, and then he jumps on this car, and the cars just keep going and going and going. It's like they were an infinitely long road that's relatively straight, but they're just right. So I was a kid. I would sit on my sofa. I had a blue love seat. And I had these little toys, which was, if you remember the game Mask, the show Mask, Mask, and they were basically, it was kind of like a Transformers thing, because these trucks would transform into like airplanes, but they were still like being driven by people, right? So I would have these toys, and I would create those Spielberg style chase scenes with the two cars I had, like, and then right. That's the kind of Spielberg, Indiana Jones, type of chase scene, right? Where it's all, where the actual vehicles are platforms. Mangold doesn't necessarily do that. Mangold's approach toward like a chase scene is they're chasing. It's like a car going through, a section of the city, and it's being run into a bunch of stuff, and there's actually driving going on. There's actually an actual traditional, a traditional car chase scene. Again, this is all off the top of my head here. All right. So my point with that is that the style of direction is a little different. Again, you're not treating the vehicles like platforms, but they're treating them as an actual French Connection style chase scene, like a legitimate chase scene, rather than like, and that's what was fun about being a kid in the late '90s, was that kind of platform idea leads itself to Mario Brothers 3, Indiana. I had I didn't buy it, but my dad rented the Indiana Jones NES game, where you're jumping around to different platforms and stuff like that. So, anyhow, there we go. Jacobus Wolf says, a Mask. A group of agents had vehicles that could transform into other vehicles, cars, boats, motorcycles. Yeah, I never got into Transformers. I never had Transformers as a kid, even though I'm of the right age to have Transformers, but I had Mask. And Mask was kind of like the other version, the uncool version of Transformers, because those things you have to figure out how to like unfold the vehicle, so it would be like all kinds of stuff. Anyhow, that's what I was talking about as far as like Mangold's direction is a little different. And like I know Chris Gore was saying there's not a lot of remember berries in the movie. I would strongly disagree with that. I feel like the movie has a lot of remember berries that feel a little too like forced. Like there is a scene in there where they have to go underwater, which like dealing with all the stuff with the Titan, the submarine, you're like, don't go underwater, guys. Anyhow, but they go underwater and they like look down like, oh no, what's that? They're eels. Oh, well, eels look like snakes, right? No, snakes. They don't. It's like, okay, call back to snakes. The whole underwater thing was utterly pointless. Like there was no reason for it to happen. Like there's absolutely no reason for them to go to the underwater other than to just have some snakes running around. Because I don't remember when they're underwater. I don't remember who got the artifact. I don't remember what was going on. And it's one of those things too. Indiana Jones movies always happen where like Indiana Jones gets one up on the bad guys, and he tricks the bad guys into going left, and he goes right. And then he finds the treasure, and then somehow, like in the earlier movies, they did it right, but somehow the bad guys end up, taking the treasure from Indiana Jones. This movie does that in frickin' spades. It's like like Indiana Jones literally sent them on the wrong path, right? They're going way over here, and then once he gets the treasure, boom, here are the bad guys, and they're like stealing his stuff. It's enough. Mask starring Eric Stoltz. I don't think it's the same kind of Mask. Yeah. I mean, okay, so when it says sounds it like it forgets to be fun. I think it's fine. I think it's like I'm kind of like the anti-culture warrior, I guess, when it comes to some of these movies because I don't feel like I'm not out there like ringing the bells like saying this is an awful movie. I think it's forgettable. Like it can be the chase scenes can be kind of fun, but other than that, it's not particularly. It's just forgettable. Okay, let's talk about Phoebe Waller-Bridge real quick. So, a lot of people are a lot of the like critical drinker and that crowd over there. They really hate. They have a hate boner for Phoebe Waller-Bridge. I don't understand what the hatred for her is. In this role, I will say she isn't really up to the challenge of the role because she's not an action star. She never has been. I don't understand how they made that leap because, I on here many months ago, I watched Fleabag and I say I loved Fleabag. I think Fleabag is excellent. I think she did a great job. She wrote and directed and, well, I don't know if she directed. She wrote and starred in it. And I thought it was really, really good because what a lot of people miss about Fleabag, I think, is, it presents a woman, and I heard this in a review earlier, well, I was watching it earlier today, but it presents a woman as, using like the modern feminist, third wave feminism power, rah girl power kind of thing, as a way to basically cover up the fact that she can't fix her shit. That's the reviewer I was reading, talked about it. And people kind of mistake the idea that it's a celebration of that kind of mentality, but it's not, because the character's name is Fleabag. Like I think they're telling us directly this is not a good person. And when I was watching the show, I thought, man, this character is a real Fleabag. She is not a good person, and I think she plays it as not a good person. So I think people miss that. However, to watch that show and think, oh, that girl, Phoebe Waller-Bridge, she ought to be in action movies, is what? No, no, it doesn't make sense. Now, Phoebe Waller-Bridge, I didn't hate her in this role. I thought she was adequate. I thought a couple things: her physicality as a person that is overweight and not very good at running. I will say that she looks like she's worse at running than me. I don't know. I mean, to be fair, she's probably as bad as running at me. Like, she just doesn't look good when she runs. She kind of looks like the Flash trying to do a run. She just doesn't look like a good runner. When she's running in the movie, which in an action movie, you have to do a lot of running. She doesn't look good when she's running. Like, look, Tom Cruise, okay, up here as far as good people that are good at running in movies, right? He's the gold standard, right? Harrison Ford does pretty good. He's all right. He's not, but then Phoebe Waller-Bridge is probably around down here where I would be at if you try to see me running in the movie. It just doesn't look very convincing. So I don't buy that part of it. But other than that, her performance was very adequate. Another example, I'll give you another example. I watched Sideways. Remember the movie Sideways? And you thought, Hayden Thomas Church, wow, what an amazing actor. He's really good. I can't wait to see, oh, he's in the next Spider-Man movie. Really? Okay. And I watched the Spider-Man movie like, whoa, what happened to Thomas Hayden Church? Now he's just like so inappropriately casted for the movie. Just didn't work. Didn't work at all. Like everything that made him great in Sideways, they just sucked all that out and put him in as Sandman and Spider-Man 2, right? I think it was, or 3. No, Spider-Man 3, right? Ava Marie Saint in North by Northwest. Oh, you guys are talking back and forth. Yeah, anyhow. But I just don't think that, yeah, I mean, she's okay. I was telling my friends, like, you can go to any high school and pick the best, like, theater kid. Maybe not the best, but, like, pick the average good theater kid and probably get the same performance. It wasn't like, wow, this performance is amazing. It's it wasn't like, oh my god, this is so utterly terrible and trash. Now I will admit, if you think about it for a couple seconds and you actually go through the story, yeah, she does try to kill Indiana Jones a couple times. So yeah, F her. Yeah, Steven Seagal is number one at running on camera. That's what Hardcore Motor says. So we'll all agree with that. I mean, I'm sure. Yeah, sometimes, Truth Mystery says, sometimes actors just can't do physical thing. I'm thinking of Eastbound and Down, the main character who's a baseball pitcher was played by an actor with a terrible throw. I think, I think that's kind of the thing with Phoebe Waller-Bridge. Just her physicality just doesn't. I think the most believable part was the part where she had, like, she's supposed to be, she was a fiance to a mob boss. Like, I could buy that because, Fleabag. Theater kid is pejorative at this point? Well, you know what I mean. Well, theater kids just depends, right? Because there are theater kids who are annoying, and then there are theater kids that just, well, yeah. There are theater kids that are into theater and do theater, but then there's theater kids that are like, just, like, come on. Just take it down a notch or two. Anyhow. She's a great writer, not a great, amazing performer. I kind of agree with that. She's good at performing her own stuff. And I think for that show, she was good at it. I think she was good in Fleabag. But I don't see how you would make that connection between Fleabag and, like, action-adventure movie. It just, I don't get that. There you go. LOL, I'm really wanting to spend my hard-earned money to see it with that It's Fine review. Well, that's the secret. Well, I mean, for me, it works out perfectly. I'm a big fan of the subscription model for movie theaters because it literally takes out all the risk from seeing a movie. Like, I'm already paying, it's like $24 a month to the movie theater. So if I go see a bad movie, it doesn't cost me any more money. Whereas if you buy a ticket, one at a time, then of course you don't want to buy a ticket to a bad movie because it feels like a waste of money, right? But if you have a subscription, like I'll go see any movie, right? Okay. And the great thing about doing this online is I can go see any, I would, if I had to buy my own ticket, I wouldn't have gone and seen Indiana Jones. I just wouldn't have done it. But I already paid for it. So, and I get paid again by YouTube because I'll get my like $3 for this live stream because that's how much ad revenue I make on this thing. I'll get my $3 and for seeing a bad movie, and I get to talk about it. So that's always fun. All right, what other comments here? Filmmaker, Dial of Destiny or Crystal Skull? Oh, I haven't seen Crystal Skull in so long. So I don't know. I would definitely put Dial of Destiny in the same neighborhood as Crystal Skull. I couldn't tell you which one I would maybe I don't know. I think the quality of the production is probably better in Dial of Destiny. I'm not a big fan of Jarmusch's Spielberg's cinematographer. I find Spielberg's cinematographer to be too like just overly washed look. Like no other cinematographer has that look that Jarmusch, I think is his name, that has, and I think there's a reason why no other cinematographer shoots that way, because I don't like that look. I don't like that Spielberg kind of everything painterly look, washed colory, look. So that to me, Crystal Skull has that going for it. This one a little bit, because when they're in New York, it has a little bit of that soft, deep pastel kind of color. I would say Crystal Skull and Dial of Destiny are, again, in the neighborhood. I couldn't tell you which one's worse or better because I haven't seen Crystal Skull in forever. Gosh, I don't know. I would say if you haven't seen Dial of Destiny and you wanted to, if you, I can say this, if you haven't seen Dial of Destiny and you want to ask me if it's worse than Crystal Skull, I would say, okay, here's what I'm trying to say. If you're asking me, should I watch Dial of Destiny or should I rewatch Crystal Skull? I would say watch Dial of Destiny, so that way you know what Dial of Destiny is, right? Like, don't rewatch. Like, don't say like, well, you know, you have to rewatch Crystal Skulls. Like, no, watch the other one. That way you've completed the quest, you know, and then you can just forget about them. Thank you, Janusz Kaminski. That's the word I'm looking for. Jarmusch is someone else. Kaminski is what I'm thinking. Yeah, I just don't like. I don't like his work with Spielberg. Ever since Kaminski, I mean, Kaminski on. Didn't he do Schindler's List? I thought that was beautiful, right? I mean, the photography was beautiful, but like everything since has gotten more and more painterly, and it just I don't like it. To me, warm, muted franchise colors are part of the franchise, but no. I'm like, compare it to Raiders. Like Raiders has a very, what's his face was experimenting. Like you could literally turn the saturation off on Raiders and treat it like a black and white movie, and it works really well because Raiders has this this very very high contrast noir film. And I remember watching Raiders because my old cheapy theater used to play, like once a month they would do classic movies, and they played Raiders on the big screen. And there's a shot where Indiana Jones gets on the horse and starts starts going, and the shot is bumpy as hell. It's a long ass tracking shot, but it's like bumpy. And I'm thinking like, man, you will never see this kind of raw, like bumpy shot in a modern movie. Everything would be super smooth and, you know, impossibly well shot, you know, a possible drone shots really, but no, this is like a bumpy, and it feels so like intimately raw. And anyhow, yeah, like the Raiders had a very high contrast, whereas the Kerminsky does kind of like a softer look. Yeah, Jacob says Raiders is very contrasty. Exactly. Jack Ripper says, any creepy crawlies in this? Yeah, and an incredibly annoying Remember Barry. That's all it was they're just going through a hallway, and then all of a sudden the creepy crawlies, you know, and you hear that little John Williams pizzicato something, like, oh, get off me, and then that's the end of it. It's like, all right, it's all right, but yeah. Dial of Death, the later Daniel Craig James Bonds, yeah, I would say it's the look of the film is very warm, a lot of warmth, not a lot of contrast, there's not that much contrast, but very, very warmy looking. Anyhow, both Skull and the latest are absolute great films. Anyone who says they suck either don't like any Jones or films in general. Films looks fantastic, story is good, not Tom Gunn level, but great. There's Mindo. There you go. So I said there's some people who don't like it. I'm not going to discount some people that say that it was good, because sure, but I think it's utterly forgettable. Like, I will forget I saw this movie in about 3 weeks. Other than the fact that I talk about it, you know, that'll be fun. But it's fine. It's fine. I'm looking forward to Op and Barbie. That's my thing. Op and Barbie is my go-to thing. In no Indy film has Spielberg done more tweaks in the effects than Raiders of the Lost Ark since the DVD days are at least Temple of Doom and Last Crusade got tweaks in the 4K. There you go. Let's see. Oh, you say you're talking about Spielberg being revisionist with cinematography. His latest 4K doesn't have perfectly accurate color timing, though far more accurate than the Blu-rays. This anger is most of the purest. You hang out on those AV forums way too much, man. Are Quentin Tarantino movies overrated? I don't think so. I like QT's movies. I like Tarantino a lot. Like I really like the what he does. You've never heard of Dial of Destiny until now? Well, that's a shame. You got to get around more. Get out from under that rock. All right. Harrison is getting old. If they want to continue, Indy should pass the torch to a new character. I don't understand why modern society is obsessed with canon. Like, I'm getting tired of canon. Totally tired of canon. Like, we can have a million different James Bonds. We can have a million different Batmans. We can have different characters, you know, we have different people playing Superman. It's cool. I mean, I guess Harrison Ford and Indiana Jones is a little bit more intimately linked, but that's only because we never allowed ourselves to have another Indiana Jones except for River Phoenix or the young Indiana Jones or something like that. Mr. Pink says that QT is overrated. Well, you would feel that way after what they did to you in Reservoir Dogs. I mean, come on. What did I think, Daniel? You just got out of theater. What did you think? Let me put it on you. I've been talking about it for the last 10 minutes or so. Whatever. Oh my God, I've been on here for 35 minutes, 40 minutes. The Rock should play Indy. There you go. Like, who would you cast as Indiana Jones if it wasn't Harrison Ford? Just to recast the movie. I mean, would you cast like? I know you'd cast Brendan Fraser. That's what you'd cast. But like, that's the thing, Brendan Fraser, the Mummy, is Indiana Jones, right? So, you wouldn't cast Tom Holland. Tom Holland had that movie earlier too. Opal says Indiana Jones exists in the Oppenheimer universe. He survives one of the blasts. Oh, there you go. There's a crossover we never thought about, right? It's Oppenheimer, Indiana Jones crossover. But anyhow, so all right, are we done talk? Is anyone else want to chime in on Indiana Jones? Can we move beyond Indiana Jones? My review of Spider-Man Across the Universe was an hour. Well, that stream was an hour and 45 minutes, right? But I guess YouTube doesn't tell people that it's a stream, so they just see Across the Universe is too damn long, and my review of it was like an hour and 45 minutes. People were like, this is... But not realizing the fact that I don't only spend like 20 minutes talking about the movie, and then I move on to other topics we talk about. But... let's see. They think they try to do too much versus trying to keep it tight and concise. Yeah, I agree. It's very much a very much like all these different ideas poured into one. Like, part of the other thing too was the character of the Phoebe Waller-Bridge plays. And I'm sorry, I don't even remember her name in the movie. Harrison or something like that. Something with a H. That's gonna bug me here. Let's go look it up real quick. So, Dial of Destiny. Dial of Destiny. Unilever should do the ads and just be like, let's get the Helena. That's her name. Helena they couldn't figure out what Helena was supposed to be. Like, is she supposed to be sympathetic? Is she supposed to be femme fatale? Is she supposed to be a bad character? It's like, and part of it's also just, the actress, she just doesn't sell that character very well. Chris Pratt, there you go. Chris Pratt, I think Chris Pratt would be a great Indiana Jones. There you go. Matthew says, canon obsession plagues comic books almost since the dawn of time. You always have to come up with an insanely convoluted inverse canon answer if you want to try a different direction of the characters. Yep. It's why American comics can feel impenetrable to newcomers. You always have to keep in mind the insane mess of continuity changes in universes and so on. Yeah, pretty much, exactly. Her boyfriend keeps screaming it. Oh, yeah, and during the chase scene, Helena. Yeah, Helena. Mount St. Helena. So, anyhow. Yeah. So, I mean, should you see Indiana Jones? Yes, because if you're interested in pop culture, I believe you should watch everything. I have a pet peeve of people who try to engage in pop culture, but only through the lens of certain critics. It's like, I'm fine with you watching critics. I'm fine with people having favorite critics to look at movies and kind of guide them, but then don't necessarily engage in the pop culture if you don't experience it yourself. I hate if you only see the Marvel universe through like the eyes of YouTube critics and never ever experience a Marvel movie, then I don't think you should be necessarily engaged in the discussion. You can use the critics as a way to gauge whether you'd be interested in seeing the movie. But I think, going beyond that and saying, well, I didn't see the movie, but I heard that this happens and therefore it's it's like, don't do that. Don't do that. I hate secondhand retellings, because the critic that you watch may be making a very nuanced point, but you don't understand it because you haven't actually seen the movie. And it's hard for, a critic or anybody to make a point about movies if you haven't had that same shared experience. Ryan Reynolds I don't think Ryan Reynolds would work as Indiana Jones. He's a little too, he plays too sarcastic. Too sarcastic. Is it more deserving of my $5 than The Flash? It's going to be on streaming really soon, by the way. That's a tough one. I would say The Flash to me had more pathos. The reason why I liked The Flash is because it had certain things I liked better. I felt that it resonated harder with me. Partly is the scene with his mom is not something I'll easily forget. That to me was enough to make me like the Flash movie. This didn't have anything like that. It had that one part with Marion that I absolutely hated. Like, Daniel, you weren't here when I was ranting like crazy, but I really hated the introduction of Marion at the end. I really hated that. Like, just everything else in the movie, it's passable, but that last part, oh my God, I hated that. I hated that so much. I have trashed the Star Wars prequels and I've only seen the Plinker. Well, that's a bad thing. like there's no fun in watching Plinkett take down these movies. I mean, there's some fun in it, right? But it's more fun when you had to experience them as well. Like, you have to experience them really. I don't think Chuck says I don't think Chris Pratt can play smart. That's true. Chris Pratt has never really played the smart guy. Oh, by the way, I need one more thing I want to talk about Indiana Jones. This is what pissed me off. Okay, so every Indiana Jones movie has to have a bad guy goon who's a heavy. And by heavy, I mean physically a big dude, right? Big old muscles. This guy, and Mads Mikkelsen plays this Nazi guy, and he has this one goon who is like, I swear he looked like he was CGI. He looked like the Mountain from Game of Thrones. He was like so freaking swole and big, right? He was huge. And you're like, oh man, that's the heavy in this movie. You remember what happened to the heavy in Raiders? He got a face full of propeller. Remember what happened in Temple of Doom? He got crushed under the rock crusher, right? I forget what happened in the Crusades. I don't remember that movie that well. But anyhow, this heavy, here's how he dies. All right? You guys know we're spoilers, right? He's like Teddy, who's like the short round stand-in, basically handcuffs him to a grate and just lets him die by drowning. And it's like the most like terrible death of a heavy, and it was such a letdown. Like, oh my God, why that was awful. Like a terrible end for that character. And he wasn't like a major character. He was just a physically big dude that's intimidating, and all they just drown him. Like not even like impending doom drown, but like those other deaths for the heavies were like gory and like ew, oh, but no, he drowns. He's drowned. Just drowns. Yeah. Anyhow, Dial Destiny has very low competition, so that will help it. Summer movies. I hear it's it's only on track to make like $60 million, which is not great. Not great at all. So I don't know if it's. It's okay. It's like my review. It's fine. 60 minutes. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Oh yeah. After established the kid couldn't swim too. Well, the kid could do everything, right? Like the kid, they had to insert that one scene where he's like talking to the pilot about how to take off. Like, oh no, but he can fly. The kid was talking about Mary Sue. That kid was a Mary Sue. He could swim, and then he just kills the heavy in the most boring, pathetic way. Like they could have taken the heavy to the Roman times and had the Roman like spear him or something. Would have been way more interesting. But holy moly, that was terrible. Oh my God, terrible. So do I recommend it? Sure, go see the movie. Do I recommend the movie where I hated, absolutely jaw-dropping, I hated the ending, and I hated the way they killed the Tevi? Yeah, sure, fine. Yeah, it actually felt like a lot more people died in this movie. Probably. I thought even the beginning of the movie, and I was laughing at it because I thought it was so cartoony and stupid. That I can forgive a movie for being cartoony and stupid. Because I'm having a good time. I'm fine with that. But like, there's in the very beginning of the movie where Like they're hanging Indiana Jones, and he's hanging by his neck. He's like holding onto the rope, and like a bomb drops and it goes through the floor, and it doesn't detonate, but it goes like a couple floors down, and then it blows the whole place up. Everyone's dead except for Indiana Jones, which makes no like he'd be dead too. But whatever, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's freaking funny. It's fine. The music was worth the price of admission. I mean, just go back. Okay, one more thing I gotta say. I gotta say this about this. I also, when I was watching the movie, I got the feeling it just didn't feel like an Indiana Jones movie. It felt like a movie, a regular movie that happened to have Indiana Jones in it, but didn't feel like Indiana Jones. Like I had to constantly wait for like boom, 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 to remind me that hey, we're in an Indiana Jones movie. I thought it was just some sort of travel adventure movie, right? So if it were me, I'd stay in the past to talk to people from history. Yeah, that's what Indiana Jones wanted to do. And by the way, I think Harrison Ford did great. And he for an 80-year-old dude to hang in there as best as he could. But no one wants to see 80-year-old Harrison Ford. It's just sad. But he wanted to stay in history and talk to the people. He wanted to hang out there. And I probably would trust Indiana Jones not to tell him about calculus. Oh, maybe. Well, would it really hurt if he told Archimedes how calculus works? I don't know. That Junkman says, I liked it, but my son loved it and seen it twice already, so it's a win for me. I don't think I love any movie anymore. I'm too old, I guess. I love certain movies. You just got to find the right ones. There are certain movies I absolutely watch. Harrison Ford should watch the stream. I totally agree. He should definitely become a fan. I'd like to hang out with Harrison Ford. That'd be cool. I'll never get why cartoony is a term for criticism. Cartoons rule. I would criticize anyone calling classic Looney Tunes. That's sure it's the peak of American cinema. I think the term cartoony means basically stretching the laws of physics and credibility. So if you're watching a certain, I'll say if you're watching like a space opera and they travel too quickly between, so it's a little too cartoony, that kind of too arcadey. In the video game world, that'd be called, or in the simulation world, they call that arcadey, like arcade. Too much of an arcade, like flight simulator is too arcade. It's not real physics, kind of thing. If it isn't directed by Spielberg, it isn't Indiana Jones. If it isn't directed by Spielberg in the 80s, let's put a time frame on that. All right. If I'm staying in the past, why would I care what happened in the future? Good point. Anyhow, they should have just done the movie in space instead of Indiana Jones in space. There's a possibility. There you go. Would you imagine Indiana Jones and exploring exploring aliens culture? Well, we had that already, right? Anyhow, all right. Is that enough talk about Indiana Jones? Are we Indiana Jonesed out? It's hot here in California. It's getting warm, and my studio does not have air conditioning, so it's nice and warm. Here you go. Opal says, "How about Mads Mikkelsen getting almost beheaded at 100 miles?" Yeah, and that happens in the first 20 minutes. I thought he was, or at least have a scar, right? Like you would think maybe he had like a big old scar down his face, and that would be kind of his character thing. He's like he has this nasty scar, but no, he literally punk, and it wasn't 100 miles an hour. It was like maybe 70. Because that train was going a little fast. I played those train simulators. Those things don't maybe that thing would be going that fast. But it was the 30s. Probably wouldn't be going 100 miles an hour. That's a little too fast. But yeah, at least 50. But he literally gets plunked in the face at 50 miles an hour. And you think, oh, he's dead. He doesn't have a scar. A scar would be like a cool trait. But no. Indiana Jones is overrated. I think Raiders is X. I think Raiders is just such a good movie. And I'm a soft spot for Temple of Doom. The character also is just one of the greatest characters ever invented. Like Indiana Jones is the Americana version of James Bond, Batman. All these characters are the heroes. They deserve more. I think they deserve more. Count for comments here. You have to rewind back. I had a very long anger. And the other thing is like, we just lay off the Nazis. Not that not that I'm a Nazi sympathizer, but at least with Crystal Skull, they're like, oh, let's try something other than Nazis, because and they did Russians, which are kind of or communist Russians, which is kind of pseudo standing for Nazis. But I guess this is a super Nazi. These guys are super Nazis because they wanted to go back. He was so Nazi that he wanted to go back and kill Hitler because Hitler wasn't Nazi enough. That's how Nazi they were. Maybe, although I was saying Saving Private Ryan is a masterpiece, but for different reasons. Oh, you're talking about how Schindler's List changed Spielberg? I think it did. I think you're right, but it also came out at the same time as Jurassic Park. He was working on it simultaneously. Like he was literally going from Jurassic Park, like shooting Jurassic Park to editing Schindler's List and back and forth, and it was like totally like I think it was messing with him. It was messing with him. Now, he hasn't only done dramas though. He's done. He hasn't. I don't think he has truly put his heart into fun escapist films ever since. Only in his dramas. Okay, I get what you say. Yeah, like he did War of the Worlds and like other movies like that. Jack D. Ripper says, "I did not see that coming." Did not. Yep, very good. Well done. Yeah, in popular culture, Nazi's easy. Basically, yeah. You literally have there's no moral quandary in killing a bunch of in literally straight up murdering Nazis. Like you could literally walk into a room of Nazis and just do a mass shooting of Nazis, and literally no one would ever question your morale. I will not get demonetized for saying you could walk in the room and just laying blast with Nazis. You just could do it, and fine. I'm no love lost for the Nazi here, honestly. Oh, that's what it was. He was editing Jurassic Park while shooting Schindler's List. That's what it was. Ready Player One, as far as like his, I don't think Spielberg really had a big heart in Ready Player One. I mean, I don't know. My own opinion with that movie is it feels so. To me, Ready Player One is very bland. It's like I listened to the book on. I don't love the book honestly because I feel like it's a half-assed nerd culture kind of a thing, and I listened to it read by Will Wheaton, and I don't know. I think what took me out of it was the very early couple paragraphs about like religion that I thought were very, very r/atheist, bottom of the barrel critiques of religion that I just just like whatever. It just felt very simplistic, and I never recovered from that. Everything else in that movie everything else in that book was basically, hey, you remember the 80s? 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 And it's just like, all right. Anyhow. Oh yeah, there you go. We could have had Nick Cage as the young Indiana Jones. I love A Third National Treasure. It's very similar adventure archaeology, not the segue from the topic. There you go. Any female tyrants in history can be portrayed positively unless they are Nazis. Yep. I agree with Jacobs, though. I think the book was better than the movie. I feel like the book was better than... Yeah, I agree with that. I think the book was better. I just didn't love the book. Anyhow, I did finish... All right. You want to see the new Tomb Raider? The game or the movie? There's a new Tomb... Didn't Phoebe Waller-Bridge supposed to write that or something like that? I don't know. The creator of the Oasis and Larry Player One was an interesting character. I loved actually Citizen Kane level of exploration of him. I felt like the creator of Oasis was you're talking about the creator, not the guy that takes it over. Yeah. Rigel 7 says, can we lay off the Nazis? Quote John Hess, VHFR video maker and owner of a red shirt. Yep, there you go. What I think about the de-aging CGI faces, I didn't like it. It didn't work for me. I talked about it earlier, but basically, every time it would work until you cut to a shot of an actor with a real face. And then you cut back, you're like, oh shit, that's a fake face. Because there's something about it, it's just not quite right. And I could never, it works okay if you on a still image, it works okay. But like when you cut back and forth between a real person, it just, anyhow. Talk about the Tomb Raider from 2018. Yeah, everyone's already forgotten that one. I mean, I think that's what, when you were asking about it, because I know Phoebe Waller-Bridge is supposed to be working on writing a new one, or working on it. So I don't know what's going on with that. Yeah, I'm an old school Tomb Raider with the pointy. I want a pointy bra on the new Tomb Raider. I just want that, Madonna. It's like just cones. That's what the Tomb Raider should be, exploring archaeology with like these weird pixelated pyramids for breasts. That's I think everybody get behind that. It's 2023, right? The CGI reanimating and de-aging is like some macabre puppet. I hate it. Yep. All right, let's move on to another topic. Take the hat off. Okay, so now we're no longer spoilers. Ooh, it's hot. No more Indiana Jones. We're done with Indiana Jones. We're talking to death about Mr. Jones, Dr. Jones. No, you call him Dr. Jones. So, I watched the first episode of the Black Mirror, and the Joan is awful, and Opal says, "I want a pointy bra," says John Hess. Exactly, HFR enthusiast. First episode of Black Mirror, I thought was really good. So if you haven't watched it, like I would definitely, if you have Netflix, the first episode is really, really entertaining. It's beautifully shot. Basically, this lady like turns on this universe's version of Netflix. It's called Streamberry, and turns on the show called Joan is Awful, and then she goes through and watches it. And it's like, this is literally my day, like bit for bit. But she's played by Selma Hayek, and the whole thing is like is kind of a. I disagree with the legal process. I was yelling at the lawyers, like you can't insert everything into terms of service and expect that to fly legally. It's not legal. I mean, you'd find a lawyer that would challenge it, but I thought it was very. But I mean, it's a short anthology show, so I'm not gonna, whatever. I'll let it go. I'll let it go. Man, all you guys are coming from the theater, and you just missed it. I took the hat off. The hat means we're not talking about Indiana Jones anymore. But I thought the first one was really entertaining, and I tried watching the second one, and I was just so bored after the first minute. I'm like, nope, I'm out. So I loved the first episode. So watch the Joan is Awful. That's really good. The second one, it just didn't look interesting to me at all. I just was not interested at that point. So I started looking around Netflix to see what else they had, because I haven't been on Netflix in a long time. And I watched this one show, which I'm going to highly recommend you check out on Netflix. It's called Kunk on Earth. I'm not saying something nasty. I'm not making a slur for a female body part. I'm saying Kunk, C-U-N-K on Earth. And if you're British, you probably know who she is. If you're American like me, you're ignorant. You don't know anything about Kunk on Earth. Philomeno Kunk. It's a character played by, I believe, Diane Wharton or something like that. She's really good at it. So basically imagine all those documentary shows like mine a little bit, but more so like Carl Sagan's, Cosmos, or Richard Attenborough's like Life on Earth, or those shows, or what's that guy that made Connections? I love that. I love Connections, that series called Connections. Shows like that, right? Those kind of documentaries where a presenter walks around, Rome, and talks about 1,000 years ago they had they would do that. But anyhow, imagine that, but then done in the style of the Daily Show circa 2003, like back when Stephen Colbert and Stephen Carell were on it, making it's got that sort of hidden camera Diali G show kind of a flavor to it, but it doesn't have the ghetto kind of gangster flavor that Diali G show has. But I don't know. I was watching the first few episodes, had me literally dying, just dying, just dying. Be like, every if the joke didn't land, it would be didn't quite land. It made me chuckle. The next joke after would just slay me. Like it just going back and forth, boom, boom. The jokes were so freaking good. So yeah, I definitely recommend you check out Philomena. I see a couple people saying Jack Ripper says Philomena Kunk is hilarious. Weighing It Productions says Kunk on Earth is hysterical. Yeah, you guys are all agreeing. You guys have seen it because it is. I would so highly recommend it as a comedy. My favorite bit, I had to share it on my social media, was like the idea was like with all the immigrants coming to America, they had a new challenge, and so they invented this ship called the Titan 1C, and it was the first one-time use submarine. My God. And that was that. I mean, coming on the tail of that, the Titan story. Like, I mean, this show came out like 8 months ago, so it wasn't like they timed it. But that line, just the Titan 1C, which is the world's first single-use submarine. Like, holy crap! That was the most amazing joke. Yeah, plenty of Kunk on Earth is on YouTube. Yeah, I loved that show. I look forward to your sequel of Westlaw Color Correction, how to fix Zack Snyder's slow motion. There you go. Speed it up. That'd be kind of fun. Like take Zack Snyder's slow motion, speed up to get like real time and see what they're doing. Like see the Flash guy running. That kind of a funny way. But it's weird, the Philomena Kunk, who's played by Diana. I gotta look this up here. I'll make sure I get it right. Kunk. I mean, I can just look up the word Kunk and you can find out exactly what her real name is. Diana Morgan. She doesn't play like super attractive in the show, but I mean, I'm going to give you my own personal preferences. I love women who can be funny, and I love women who have the ability to play a little ugly and a little like not make themselves super attractive. And I just absolutely love, and I went down a whole rabbit hole with Diana Morgan and just checking out all those other stuff that she's done. She's actually a really attractive person. I think they kind of make her plain Jane her a little bit in the show. But anyhow, yeah, Kunk, it's if you're not in the UK, it may be new. It came out, I think it came out on the States about 8 months ago, but I don't really watch Netflix because stuff on Netflix doesn't have a lot of, I just not that interested in stuff on Netflix. So I haven't been watching Netflix. So I was exploring Netflix and that just came up. So it's not new. I'm definitely recommending it though. But yeah, did you mention that Philomena Kunk originated on Charlie Brooker's TV Wipe? I didn't mention it, but that is correct. After doing my general research on this stuff, yeah, she originated on his show. Because I was watching what's the Paley Center? There's a Paley Center interview with her, and I believe it's Charlie Brooker, and another person who was either the director or producer of Kunk on Earth. And they were talking about, the origins of the character. Originally they were trying to use her character as mocking to give her a middle class, London accent, and because they were trying to field questions, or because they thought another character was kind of punching down at the middle class or something like that, working class. So they wanted to do a character that was more middle class, but then Diane Morgan came in and said, "Can I just try it in my own, like, I guess she's Irish, right? Her own accent." And she did her own accent, and that's where they came up with that character. And she's amazing. Like, holy moly. She is absolutely amazing. She was better looking when she was younger. Well, we all are, right? But, I mean, I'm of the age, I'm not going to complain. I think they try to like plane her up a little bit, but I think when she's, when she's on like a TV show like Would I Lie to You, because I watched that clip. She looks great in that episode because she actually smiles and she's she's like friendly looking. Philomena Kunk just looks like she's utterly bored of everything. I think I saw a little bit of a Seth Meyers interview with her, and she's just like, it's like, you always look bored. It's like, yeah, because history's boring. It's just like, you just want this to be over. Yeah, the character did the same part a long time ago. Yeah, it's just like, it's kind of like, I know you British people always do that, right? You had Alan Partridge. Alan Partridge is another favorite of mine. I love I love Alan Partridge, but that character goes way back, right? That goes to back like the first one was like I forget the name of the show, but then he did Knowing Me, Knowing You. The first one was like he had a radio show, and he did this talk show, this chat show. And I absolutely love that. Oh yeah. Alan Arkin passed away too. Alan Arkin was always like a character actor that you would always just you just show up in a movie, and you just smile because it's freaking Alan Arkin, man. Like he just pop up in the show. He's kind of like in a way a little bit like Tony Shalhoub, a little bit. Tony Shalhoub, right? Shalhoub, the guy from Monk. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. Is that I gotta look it up. Monk. Where is he? Tony Shalhoub. Shalhoub. Something like that. All right. But anyhow, Alan Arkin was one of those character actors that literally just... He's in a lot of movies, and you never needed to, like... You never needed to buy Alan Arkin, right? Because Alan Arkin was just Alan Arkin. He was like, oh, there he is. He's like your friendly kind of, buddy. I'm trying to think, there was one movie I watched with Alan Arkin in it, and he was playing a cop. And maybe you can tell me this, right? He was playing a cop, but he was too nice of a cop, and he like the other cop was trying to get him to be more like a jerk, like a traditional TV cop. Like, where's the thing, and he finally but he's just too nice. What's the name of that movie? You guys know what I'm talking about? The movie where he plays a cop. He's like a side character cop. And I want to say it definitely was a comedy, but I forget the name of the movie. Dang it! I'm gonna let you chew on that idea because I'm not gonna look it up. I'm gonna let you guys discover the movie where Alan Arkin plays a cop, but he's too nice. He's too nice, and the other cops try to get him to be like a little meaner. And there's one scene where he like goes off on the main guy. He's like, "Is that better?" It's like, "Yeah, that's a lot better." All right, you guys work on that. Anyhow. All right. Did I see Extraction 2? I don't even know what that is. What is Extraction 2? Extraction 2. Or is it Expendables 2? I don't know. I can't even Google it. Come on, Google. Search Google for Extraction 2. No. Hemsworth? Olga Korylenko? Oh, yeah, Olga. I never heard of that. Oh, it's on Netflix? Okay, that's why I never watched it. I don't watch anything on Netflix. Sorry. Oh, that's what it is. So I married an axe murderer. Thank you. You got it. You got it, Rigel. That was it. Yeah. Good call. Good catch there. Yeah. So that's what it was. Yeah, that's crazy. I'm glad you guys caught that. I rewatched that like I want to say about 2 months ago. Probably talked about it on stream here. But it was kind of interesting to see like the new Mike Myers show called The Pentavariate was basically straight out of that movie, was the dad's crazy conspiracy theory. It's like, wow, it's literally just a callback to Married an Axe Murderer. Pentavariate I couldn't get into. I watched like 4 or 5 episodes and I just gave up on it. It's like, nah. Sorry, Mike Myers. He's so rich now. I don't think he needs to worry about anything. I think all he does is play hockey and, occasionally do a movie or two. But like, I know he does a lot of makeup, but like in one of the characters in Pentavariate, he looks so unbelievably old, and it kind of made me real sad. It's like, oh my god, it's probably overdone makeup, but he just looks so like he looks like 1 foot in a grave, kind of that like old. Dr. Mad Studio says, I'm not going to do spoilers anymore so the hats are off. I got back from watching Indiana Jones Dial of Destiny twice. Personally enjoyed it. The first time was with my dad, who loved these films since the 80s. There you go. Good for you. I will not belittle anybody. What's the next movie I'm excited about? Oppenheimer, Barbie. Barbie. Definitely want to see. There's a couple other movies I want to see, but I forget what they are. I saw trailers for them, but I don't remember what they were. But Oppenheimer and Barbie are definitely. Mission Impossible, I'll go see that. I'll go see the next Mission Impossible. The problem with Barbie is that during the week that comes out, literally, I said this before, it comes out the day before my birthday, but I will be on my birthday. I will definitely be doing 2 shows that day. I think I'll do a matinee and I'll be playing in 2 shows, and I'll probably be playing the Friday as well. I mean, unless they run it on Thursday, unless I'm free. I don't even know if I forget if I have a show on Thursday or not. But I mean, I can look. I'm definitely not going to do a double feature. I joke that I always tell my friends I'm going to do a double feature, but I'm not really going to, because that would be essentially like 5 hours of my life. But I'll probably, the question always comes up is, which one would you see first, Oppenheimer or Barbie? And I think the answer to that is watch Oppenheimer first. I think my nose is itching here. So, yeah, unfortunately that Thursday I also have, that whole week I'm on call for that show. That's Tech Week. That's Hell Week. Crap. So, yeah, I won't be, unless I see like an early matinee, I will not be seeing. I might go see, if I can get into like an early screening on Friday or something like that. Like a 1 p.m. screening or something. I could probably make it. But, yeah, I'm doing a double show on, I think. Or am I just doing a matinee? No, I gotta be doing double shows on that day. Yeah, anyhow. I gotta look at the schedule. All right, back to your chats. Mike Myers' parents were for Liverpool, and even though he was born in Canada, they always treat Liverpool as a second home. Cool. Yeah, Dune 2. Yep, Dune 2. Dune 2. Barbieheimer. I liked what I posted on my Facebook, the Greta Gerwig and what's her name? Barbie. Margot Robbie. They showed off their tickets to Oppenheimer. They had like these 2 tickets up, and they're like showing like they were going to see Oppenheimer because they were like, they're trying to support each other. And then I think it was Mission Impossible guys were showing, like, I like that old fashioned kind of camaraderie between studios, or at least between movie stars, because like, hey, we're all rich anyway. Like, what doesn't matter who becomes number one in the box? It's not a fight. We all want to go see. We want to encourage people to go see these movies in theaters. Get back to the movie theater tradition, and it's starting to come back. I think people are starting to go back to seeing it. But yeah, so there. Anyhow, I'm glad. I joke about the Oppen Barbie because they're 2 totally different movies, but I'm excited for both of them because I'm excited for. Because I've always liked Greta Gerwig, just always liked her. So that's why I really want to see Barbie, because not because I care about Barbie. I mean, I think my mom found a Barbie in a trash can, and I have a Barbie in my house, but that's the only reason we have a Barbie. But I just like the idea of I support anything Greta Gerwig makes. Oh yeah, Jack. It's funny. I was just talking about that was 3 minutes ago in that comment. Yeah, it's exactly. I posted that to my own page. The big question is for Barbie is if they use the Aqua song. They do a little drop in the trailers. Remember the question with Iron Man was, would they use that Iron Man song? I am Iron Man, right? So they did eventually. I feel like the Aqua song will pop up in the Barbie movie once a little bit. All right, so I just got reminded from Kunk on Earth, right? It's like the every time she would talk about like, and Leonardo da Vinci's fame rose faster than the 1980s pop album Pump Up the Jam. It just got to the song. Like every episode they would do it like, and at first you're like, this is kind of what? And then like part of the end of the time they kept cutting to that song, the music video. I was just dying laughing. Oh my God. The 1980s rock hit, Pump Up the Jam. And then I was watching the Paley interview with him, and like, oh my God, you cost us a fortune making us license that song for every single one of your episodes. Anyhow. Cillian Murphy reminds me of Humphrey Bogart, old fashioned. Yeah, he's an interesting looking leading man, isn't he? He's like really, especially in Oppenheimer, he looks so skinny. He's super skinny and just like a weird looking. I sometimes get them like mixed up with Mads Mikkelsen because they both are odd looking fellows. Mads Mikkelsen doesn't really have a leading man, career. Cillian Murphy does. He's in that. I was thinking about watching that show, Peaky Blinders, but I didn't want to get into a series right now. I just finished Silo, so if you haven't watched Silo on Apple TV, I would definitely give it a go. It's pretty good. I feel like the middle drags a little bit, but overall, it's very well done show. And I would definitely recommend Silo with Rebecca Ferguson and Tim Robbins and what's her name from Parks and Rec? Rashida Jones, but she's only in the first episode. Sorry, spoiler. Definitely, yeah. Well, Barbie was definitely inspired by The Matrix. I think that scene is lifted, right? She's like, where I think that one, oh, my nose is going crazy. I've got some sort of allergy, something going on. Where she's holding the Birkenstock and the high heels. She's like, you can either stay in the world as you are, or go to the have the reality revealed to you. He's like, I'm going to pick the world as I am. You're supposed to pick this one. So yeah, definitely. I mean, I tell my friend who's like, I don't know about Barbie, and I'm like, dude, it's going to be Lego Movie. That's what it is. Like Lego, it's the same plot line from Lego Movie or Matrix in a sense. But it's like she's in her perfect world. It's the hero's journey. She's in Barbie land, but she needs something more. And so she's going to go into the real world to discover what she's missing, and maybe affect the real world, but then bring back some of the real world back home to share with everybody. It's hero's journey. It's Lego Movie. It's every other movie, right? So it's not like it's the worst thing. The funniest thing is calling it Barbie movie. I don't think it has hardly anything to do with Barbie, as so much as it's just sort of like the masquerade. I don't know. Anyhow, it's not like Barbie movie that you would go to the Target and buy or Walmart and buy in the big giant discount bin. It's like Barbie's Malibu toy set Playhouse video, and it's just like Barbie running around. No, it's not that Barbie. The Barbie is more. Well, I guess the Barbie is more of a metaphor, right? Anyhow. 20 days, 8 days later was when I first watched Cillian Murphy. I didn't remember it was Cillian Murphy in that, but I first it impressed me with Cillian Murphy was the Scarecrow. Scarecrow is what first made me sit back like, oh, who is this guy? Anyhow. Or maybe, there you go. It may be Total Recall, PK Dick, or Little Mermaid. I'm in Little Mermaid, by the way. I mean, I'm in the play. We were talking a little bit about Little Mermaid in the rehearsal for the music. And the director was like, as a father, I have a real hard time with this story. Because the girl just basically disobeys her father, goes off and does whatever she wants, and then she wins. And then the clarinet player, who's a lady, she's like, well, I see it differently. I saw it as like a girl who's, trying to explore her own. And they both have good points. I'm like, cool. Let's get back to playing. Yeah, Bumbosh and Gerwig writing it. Bumbosh and Gerwig I think they're a good team. I mean, they're married now, right? So they're good. They will always work on each other's projects. Oh, Cillian Murphy ever had he lost weight for Oppenheimer? Seems like he did. Yeah, it looks like he did. Another brand feature length commercial. I think account for comment. I think you get way too, I think you read these things too shallowly. Like, I don't think Barbie movie is an ad for Barbie at all. Like, I'm not going to watch some Barbie movie and like, oh, let's go buy some Barbies. No, I think it's literally it's sort of a metaphor. Well, it is a metaphor. Is that a handheld submarine? Pretty much. I like this one a lot. I had this one AM/PM jug, but it's pretty big. It's like double this size, and people kept like saying they were making fun of me. They're like, it's I hope that's full of, you got a lot of drink you got there. Well, I'm a big guy and I need liquid. But the thing is, it was getting a little old. It was getting the pictures on it were getting a little faded and it looked kind of nasty. So I went and bought some at another one at Walmart, but I discovered that it didn't keep my drinks cold. So I got this at Costco, and this is like a tub. This is like reinforced aluminum and steel, so this will keep my stuff cold for a long. I can put ice in there, and the next day it'd still be there. Let's see. You got two of these comments. Let's pick one of them. As much as I enjoy going to the cinema, I rarely go these days, largely due to the prices. The cost of living doesn't help either. Yep. That's why I said, like, I feel like the subscription model works. Again, you have to justify in America, $24 per month to see any movie you want as many times as you want. And at that point, you basically, and I think I can justify it too, because as doing this, I can do a lot. Many ads are not bragging about the product quality, but they are made so that the public remains conscious about them. True, they call that as a marketing marketing major in college. They call that essentially image marketing. I forget what was the term of it. There's two kinds of promotion styles. You can either talk about like the benefits of the product, or you can just try brand awareness kind of thing. But I feel like, I'm going to be harsh on you again. I feel like you're dismissing this for a stupid reason. Because I don't think the Barbie movie is really about Barbie. I think the Barbie movie is about like a sort of, if you watch the trailer, and there's a part where like Will Ferrell plays like the head of Mattel. And you see like he's chasing Barbie through Mattel, and Mattel's like this really gray place, like this super gray, corporatized kind of place. I don't think it doesn't read as an ad. Now I get what you're saying, that, hey, it's kind of a pseudo marketing kind of a thing. In a cynical way, yes. And in a very similar way, I also feel like all the articles I've been reading about how terrible the Flash is doing is sort of pseudo marketing for the Flash. And I see all the articles right now, people bashing Indiana Jones is sort of an advertising for Indiana Jones. But yeah, I think just wave your hand and say, it's advertisement. It's not. No, that's not. I don't think we could. I don't think it's worth thinking about. I don't think that's the way to look at it. And I think if you close yourself off to that, just makes it really, you prevent yourself from seeing interesting things. Jack Ripper says Gerwig and Bombosh are real artists, though, as are Lord and Miller, who are the reason why the Lego Movie was so good. I think I agree with that. Well, the thing is, though, account for comment. I don't have a problem with advertising. Like, I'm not bashing the quality. It's still an ad. So what? What's wrong with that? Why isn't being an ad automatically a bad thing? Like, if we, it doesn't make. I'm not following. Why is just being an ad a bad thing? Okay, I mean, you could make a sale that any movie is an ad for something. Chuck Hoffman says Barbie is supposed to be both a deconstruction and celebration of Barbie, which is a fine line to walk. I haven't seen it yet. We'll find out if it is. I mean, I think more a question is maybe the questions are, what is it? How does it define like womanhood and femininity? Shocking. Can we even talk about such things these days? I mean, does it have something to say about what it's like to be a girl growing up? I don't know. I'll have to wait to see. There you go. Sharpness of a shot isn't only measured by the film stock, it's a characteristic of lenses and the aperture of the lens and the amount of light in the subject. Absolutely. It may be a great movie. I'm just not excited to see it. Yeah, sure. There you go. I think you were the one that was complaining about how Air felt like an ad. Again, I just sure. I mean, you're entitled to your opinion, but I just don't feel like. I feel like saying the movie Air was an ad It just feels like it's a. Because I thought it was a pretty decent movie. It just feels like it's dismissive, and I just don't feel like these. I feel like if you read things at a certain surface level, then you can do it that way. It's kind of like saying, I'm trying to think of an example. If you just take things to surface level, that it warps the underlying message or interesting. Well, it makes it interesting and fun. So anyhow, not to go too much on it. I hate how advertisements are served is intrusive. I mean, yeah, like if you could have a product placement kind of an ad, that kind of thing. Wreck-It Ralph was an amazing movie. So there's another example. I mean, like Toy Story, isn't that really just an ad for Mr. Potato Head? I don't know. It's like, well, okay, but I don't know. I think maybe we have to come to the realization too that we are so far into a capitalist marketing society that you really can't do a story about modern times without referring to some sort of product and trademark or whatever. I mean, obviously I did that video about trademark, and the fact is you cannot tell trademarks are an important part of your story. If you have a character who's a detective and every day he wakes up and drinks a Diet Coke, that is a character. Versus every day he wakes up and drinks a cup of coffee. Versus every day he drinks up and drinks a Diet Mr. Pibb. Or every day he wakes up and drinks a wild turkey. All these things infer stuff into the character. Right? Even if all he does is drink Diet Coke like every single day, it's not necessarily a product placement. It's not necessarily an ad. Anyhow, there are a lot of like advertising, trademark, and all that stuff, or watching Mad Men is an ad for cigarettes. There's all this stuff is part of our modern society, and to just like dismiss stuff is just Air is a decent movie. It does remind me of what Stan Edgar said to Homelander about the founding of Vought. I guess I don't know. I'm not following that. Rigel 7 is true, though. I saw Ford versus Ferrari. Went out and bought a Ford and a Ferrari. There you go. It did work. It finally did work on it. I find comfort in how Ryan George in pitch meetings critiques movies. I'm not familiar with him. If you watch it in cinema at the cinema on a 70 millimeter 16 perf projector, you're talking about something else. There you go. Yeah, so I'm gonna try to watch Oppenheimer in IMAX. I purposely go out of my way not to watch stuff in IMAX. Oh my god, I watched Avatar 2 because I was like, I want to see Avatar 2 because I wanted to see it in high frame rate. So I purposely found the high frame rate versions, which weren't advertised as the IMAX versions or some other versions. And my God, this one guy gave me so much shit over it. It's like, how dare you review this movie without watching it in the highest possible quality? And I said, well, I'm reviewing this movie because I'm reviewing it the way most people are going to watch it, which is going to be like standard, high frame rate or whatever. I can't believe you did this. You're reviewing this movie. You're doing a disservice to James Cameron, and I know people and they're going to be very disappointed. It's like, who the fuck cares about what what do you care? I don't give a flying fuck. Get James Cameron filming me. I'll tell him my feelings about high frame rate and Avatar 2. I'll flat out say it. I don't give a shit. Anyhow, so I don't like to go to IMAX screenings. I don't particularly go out of my way because I find most IMAX stuff to just be fluff, and I don't really care to see it in the highest quality because, it's like a hot tub. I get into it, it's nice, and after a while, I'm used to it. So I don't really give a shit. But I will see Oppenheimer in IMAX just because. Why the fuck not? And probably because of the sound, because the sound is going to be insane. But I'll try to find it, and I'll try to see it in IMAX. But also, it's like, of course they want you to see it in IMAX. You know why? Because they get to charge you twice as much. It was like, well, that's not the reason why. It is the reason why. If that's the only way that James Cameron wanted you to see Avatar 2, the only way you should see it in Avatar 2 is to watch it in IMAX, then why the fuck did they make it all the other versions? Well, because the studio made them. Whatever. Don't give me this tripe about how IMAX is the proper way. No other way to watch it is appropriate at all to watch this movie. Well, then don't release it in any other way. Don't release it in all these other freaking format. Never mind. No. It's just so freaking annoying. And it was like a good, realize like a good chunk of people are going to see it in standard formats. It's not like 5% is going to see it in that. No, it's like, there's like 50, 60%, 70% are going to actually watch. A real disservice to James Cameron. I'm sure James is really broken up like that submarine. Oh, it's terrible. Good night, Dr. Mad Studio. I know it was 4 minutes ago you said that. James Cameron only cares about the premium watching experiences. Home video releases of films are terrible. Probably. Yeah, I find I don't drink Coke. I find it worse to my health than heroin or cocaine. Well, have you tried heroin or cocaine? I mean, how do you know? I mean, you need to do a double-blind study. You need to be shooting yourself up with both heroin and cocaine, but then also shoot yourself up with like a placebo, like sugar water, and then just see what happens. That's what you need to do. And then you would know, because if you don't, unless you know that shooting yourself with heroin and cocaine is as bad as Coke, you don't really know. It's like until you actually just tie that rubber band around your arm and feel the dragon, chase that pink dragon for, a good, I'd say 2 or 3 years, then you will know if it is as bad as drinking Coke. And who knows? I don't know. I have not committed that experiment myself. So, I mean, the Coke and heroin, yes, but not the regular Coke. In the UK, there's almost no IMAX screens. I've not seen an IMAX film in 20 years. Oh, that's got a lot of UK folks, I think, in this talk here. I wonder if we get VistaVision theaters. I don't think it matters because VistaVisions I don't think gives you enough of a difference between that and just standard projection. Well, we don't even use film anymore, except for the, certain IMAX theater. But I think VistaVision. I don't think VistaVision offers that much a difference. Not enough to like completely like justify double the price of the ticket. Oh my God, there are only 2 true IMAX screens in the UK, and both are in London. Sorry. Show went dark. Did I go dark? No, I don't. Oh, my show went dark. Yeah, a little bit. Well, it got me talking about that guy that was bitching to me. I ended up blocking because it's just like, shut the fuck up, dude. Like, I don't give a shit that you are some sort of like video nerd and all that, but you're fucking full of shit. Anyhow, here's a channel. I don't remember what the name of the channel is. IMAX is a Canadian invention. There you go. Is that why every time I go there, they always say thank you and oh yeah, don't you worry about it. Don't you know? Never mind. All right. Can you imagine a blockbuster only locked to IMAX that ran for like a year? Holy crap, that'd either be a cash cow or a dumb idea. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Like I said, I don't try to seek out IMAX. I try to avoid it because I just don't think it's worth the money. I also think 4X, which is that, or is it 4X? Where basically they project shit on the side of the screen. I think that's awful. I think that's absolutely fucking terrible. But I just want to see a good old fashioned 2D screening because I can either fall in love with the movie or not, and I've been thinking about it. Like, all this money they've been spending on special effects, CGI and all that, and all of it doesn't matter. Like I was talking about The Flash, and that the thing that I'll remember about The Flash for a long time is that scene where he goes and hanging out with his mother. That to me is the only scene that matters in that movie. Everything else is just money. But that scene is why I will care about that movie. Why even talked about that movie. So, like with Indiana Jones, like we can have all these action sequences, but it's like those little small moments that matter. I don't know. That's just me. Spend $300 million and whatever, but it comes down to whether the character is likable or not. And that's all that matters. Any new video coming up? Yeah, I got half of it through. I got worked on half of it this week, and it's going to be the frame rate to simulate reality, and that's going to be coming up as soon as I get. Well, this week is going to be weird because it's like half people are off this week, so I won't probably have some time. I might be able to finish it this week. Problem with IMAX is so sharp you can tell Chris Pine's acne scars. Wow. Huh. It means I gotta check it out. Yeah, okay, most branded, but they're not true IMAX. I get you, yeah. I mean, in the States, it's like that too. Like, I remember when what's that movie came out, the Gemini Man, and there's only 11 theaters in the United States that had the ability to show it at 120 frames a second. So... stop having opinions that I don't agree with. LOL. I'm sure I have a lot like that. That's why you avoid close-ups in IMAX. You use a wider lens. Yeah, that's true. Part of that too, I think, is because, well, IMAX, just because it's such a wider field of view. So in my next video, I'm talking about the how to simulate reality, the frame rate needed to simulate reality. And I feel like it has a lot to do. I feel like if you haven't seen my video on normal lenses, like I think you need to watch the normal lenses to get a lot of what I'm talking about. Not get, but like it leads to it. The idea that your field of view and the resolution are there's a constant interplay, right? There's a lot of videos out or graphics out there showing you what resolution you need at certain distances. Because the idea is that the human vision, 20/20 human vision, can distinguish what's called 1 arc minute, which is 1/60th of a degree. So if you're really close to a TV screen or a monitor, you can see more resolution. If you're sitting really far back, you won't be able to see as well. With IMAX too, because IMAX is so wide, and so big that you need higher resolution. 4K would probably cover a good chunk of it. Unless you have really good vision, then you might be able to see a bit better than 4K. But again, all that stuff goes out the window when things start moving and start, moving around. Anyhow, I'm going off. I'm getting tired and hot. Nolan said IMAX made him better filmmakers that forced him to not rely on close-ups. Probably true. Well, I think it also, maybe it forces him to think a little bit differently. The son of the IMAX guy is doing a video game show called Jeff Niley. Okay. Maybe. And it's 2001 Space Odyssey and a few insanely sharp close-ups. Have anyone broke his neck from an IMAX from some scene that avoided moving too fast from one side to the other? Perhaps. The interesting thing about that is whether you actually trace something that moves from side to side or you don't. And the irony is, and I might address this with another video. I mean, honestly, I've still been trying to get back into making videos. It's been hard. My mom's been taking kind of a worse health-wise, so it's kind of letting me down a little bit, or making me down. But I want to do a video basically thinking about how you shoot with the idea of frame rate. Like 24 frames a second, and requires you to think a little differently in how to shoot. And one of the things I discovered, I'm sorry to get nerdy here. I gotta get nerdy here. Just quickly, Bullet Sign says the glass is different for full frame and Super 35. The back element IMAX lens is the size of your fist. And I think that could also be another, limitation. The minimum focus distance might be an issue. But anyhow, the thing about 24 frames and how to shoot. So I think for a long time I've been having a discussion with gamers, and they always complain about I'm so sick of all the motion blur in film. I'm so sick of motion blur in film. And my retort was always like, well, motion blur exists in real life. If I shake my hand, you're going to see motion. You're going to see motion blur, right? So, but I came to the realization this is different. If I shake my hand, I will see motion blur if I'm looking directly ahead. But if I try to track my eyes back, if I try to track, the motion of the hands, my hand will stay sharp and the background will blur. Okay? So this led me kind of this kind of realization that I wanted to share in a video, at least try to get my thoughts further down on it, is that if you like when you're shooting a movie, you want your audience to, you want to guide your audience where to look. So if you want something, if you're shooting a movie 24 frames a second, you can't have something move and be sharp. But you can track something with your camera and keep it sharp, right? So I feel like a lot of these kids that watch movies or something, I think they're just freezing the frame and like complaining about motion blur, trying to take a screenshot, but it's all blurry. I get that. That's the reality, right? But I think the problem is like how do you guide your viewer's eye? Like something that's blurring really badly that's moving really quickly and having a lot of motion blur is not something that you want your audience to look at. Like, Iron Man flying through the sky, right? Like, and stuff is like blowing up around him. You don't want your eye to be tracking those things that are blowing up because that's not the focus. You want the focus to be on Iron Man, and Iron Man's going to be sharp in the shot, right? So, that's what I'm trying to get at. So, like when you shoot something, again, a good example what I want to point out is the pan. Everyone complains about 24 frames a second being awful for pan, right? You can't every time you pan, it gets awful. Well, why are you panning? Like that's the question I'm going to pose. Why would you want to pan a camera? Now there's ways to do it, like John Ford, and you pan Monument Valley, but you roll nice and slowly. No one's complaining about that. But why are we panning? Like if you want to get a shot of a location, why would you pan quickly? Nothing that's again, I'll talk about this in the next video. You can't actually pan with your eyes. Like you cannot move your eyes across a landscape smoothly. I don't know if you guys knew all that, right? You can't actually move your eyes. Your eyes dart from like feature to feature to feature to feature. It's called saccadic movement or saccadic movement, right? There's nothing in your human biology that allows you just to pan a shot. You can't do it. But you can track an object. So if a bird flies through a scene, your eyes can smoothly follow the bird. Okay, and the bird will be sharp in focus, but everything else will be motion blurred behind it, right? So, anyhow, that's what I wanted to approach these thoughts, like because I feel like a lot of young filmmakers don't have this deeper thinking about how to use the camera. Oh, it's a beautiful shot, get a pan. I know that's not what you don't pan like that. You need to either go very slow and let the audience kind of wander about the frame with a wide angle lens, or you shoot closer, tighter focus, maybe perhaps with more like artistic framings and stuff like composition, stuff like that. Anyhow. Oh, I hate diopter, by the way. He said Hollywood diopters are your friend. For close-up split diopters are for that cool. I hate the split diopter look. I just hate that look. I get it. Probably a lot of ones I haven't seen. I haven't seen the good one. I haven't seen probably a lot of good split diopter shots that I don't notice are split. But I hate when split diopters are like literally in your face. Yeah, you can do 24 FPS left motion blur, but the trade-off is you trade motion blur for stutteriness, and that's a pretty hard stylistic choice. Like you can go the other way. You can actually add motion blur because I talk about in the video. I talk about how like motion picture film, like when we talk to gamers, there was like, oh, just turn off the motion blur, dude. It's like no, filmmaking. That's just what happens when you shoot actual stuff. Like there's motion blur. Like you don't just turn off motion blur, but in reality, what film does is actually most film does actually cut the motion blur in half. Like 180-degree rule basically is half the motion blur. 360 is 100% motion blur, and then the lower the angle, the smaller the percentage. Yep. In old Hollywood, is still a bit careful regarding speed of pans. The fast pan's always tracking and focusing on someone. Exactly. And if you go on Red's site, the Red has a whole thing on there too. Yeah. And panning is a staple of horror, leading the eye toward an expectation that is subverted in the big jump scare. Yep. Oh, I disagree with that. Private Ryan looked great in the theater. Like it's supposed to look like that. It's supposed to have that jittery kind of look. I think that was the point of it. London David Vera. Lawrence Arabia was on over here. I'm in London, England. You guys, a lot of London folks in here. You guys, good for you checking out me supporting Kunk on Earth. Today I was thinking about the composition and pans, possibly a good movie to study for that. Oh yeah, Lawrence Arabia, obviously. Yeah, Lawrence Arabia is amazing. I just think that I feel like I don't know. Maybe I'm just. I feel like I'm getting too old. I feel like I'm getting too old for this shit. Now I feel like I just feel like I see a lot of things, and when I'm seeing some people's like the amateur young people's work, I feel like they're not thinking all the way through. Maybe I just see it as I see the big old picture, and sometimes people get stuck in the small picture, like compositions that don't realize what's the purpose of all this stuff. I don't know, maybe that's just a general feeling of being old and tired, and like some of my clients, the issues I have with some of my clients really is more about like, just tell me what you need. Like, don't tell me how to do the job. And then I'm not saying this in a bad way. I'm not trying to make it sound like I'm being defensive or something. But a lot of times client will come to me and say, hey, can you do this shot and this shot and this shot? And I'm like, yes, but tell me what you want to do with the shot, and I'll help figure out how best to apply that. Because I feel like I have a better understanding of my field. I understand like what I can do and what's possible in my field and what I can do with my capability. And you are new to it and you don't understand quite how everything works. And I might be able to solve your problem better than the way you think you can solve the problem. Does that make sense? And I'm not saying, and none of my clients have been combative. None of them. All my clients have been great. I'm just saying like that. Sometimes I just wish that they would allow me to try to solve their problem rather than try to have me or tell me what to do, kind of a thing. Opal says, basically you're saying tracking is the point of using a pan, like pans themselves don't accomplish much. Well, not necessarily. I think what pans will do, like, it depends on what the purpose is. But a pan, like a fast pan, if you're trying to pan a shot, right? Like what's the purpose of that? Like why are we doing it that way? It's not natural looking. Like it doesn't feel natural to just do like that real fast, right? It does. If you're trying to show like a location, like say you want to show a beautiful, what you call it, castle on a hill, and it's really wide. So you start over here, and then a realistic approach would be like, wow, you turn your head real slow, like across. So it's a nice slow pan. Now, and you want to do a wide angle because remember, your eyes don't pan. So if you think about the camera as an eye, eyes don't pan, but the head moves. So you can if your head moving, but your eyes are going to dart from feature to feature to feature to feature to feature. They're going to go boop 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 boop. Your eyes do not pan. Your eyes always jump from feature to feature. So like a slow pan, if you wanted to show like the expanse of a giant location, you want to do it slow and with a wide angle lens. There's no point in doing it a fast pan. You'll never see this in a professional movie. They'll never do it that way. I'm talking about the amateur level. I'm talking about like filmmakers, people that make movies. You go out there, you shoot a fast. No, don't do a fast pan. Shoot a slow one and move your eyes around it. Again, some people are giving examples like fast pan use case, like a fight scene, sure, like a fight scene showing energy or movement, or like the famous one from La La Land where it's like Emma Stone's dancing and Ryan Gosling's playing piano. He's like, boom, boom, whip panning, right? But you're not using the pan for the pan. You're not trying to keep the eye, or you're not trying to show something in the pan. You're basically showing whip from one shot to the next shot to the next shot and connecting with motion blur, right? I'm not asking you to look at something in that pan. We're landing on Gosling, we're landing on Emma Stone, we're landing back and forth, right? There's the purpose for that. So like what I'm trying to get with the pan is like the people are complaining about the pan and stutter and all that. It's like, pan slower. Just pan slower, guys. The Golden Gate Bridge shot in the pan room is a slow pan. There you go. A cookware that needs to go on a short bus is a slow pan. Never mind. Yeah. Let's see what else is going back to your comments. Do you know what they want? You can shoot for the edit. Oh yeah, if you know what they want, you can shoot for the edit. Exactly. That's what I was saying earlier. It's like, yeah, if I know the purpose of this, I know all the tools and all the tricks of the trade. I probably know something that you didn't think about that I could apply and it would work better than what you thought you needed. That kind of thing. What do you think about John Ford's advice to Spielberg in The Horizon in the Middle is boring? I think it's not far from wrong. I think that's a very John Ford thing to say. And I'm pretty sure that's what he said. Horizon in the middle is boring. Horizon at the top, interesting. Bottom, interesting. More middle, boring. Unless you're Wes Anderson, and Wes Anderson can make the middle work. Let's see. Yep, it's either an artistic value or a narrative tool. My God, my nose is going crazy. A POV shot, action tracking would all be good reasons for past panning as a part of the story. Yeah. What I'm saying is it has to be part of the. You have to think about why are you doing this, right? Why are you doing a pan? Why not do a static shot? And there are reasons. I'm not saying you shouldn't pan. I'm just saying you need to think about why you're doing everything. Every shot needs to have a purpose. Every shot needs to be mentally like, I am doing this movement for a reason. And it could just be it looks great. Like if you want to do an orbit and an aerial, because it looks freaking awesome. Cool. That's fine. But the worst thing is like, just don't shoot a pan and just like, Bullet Silence says, worst line in the business is, that was perfect. Let's do another one just for safety. I often say that all the time, mainly because that wasn't perfect. Or mainly because it was good, but I want to try something else. Yeah. I need to make something. So do I. I gotta get this my office kind of cleaned up on Monday. We're gonna do some green screen flying shot that my buddy is trying to get me to, we're trying to try this out. I got a commercial, an ad for the city, and I wanted to do like a flying thing. So we rigged up these rock climbing things, and we're going to suspend this lady in front of a green screen and have her fly, and we'll see. I think it'll work fine, but I think I think you mean that a fast pan is okay, but to use, but not if you want the viewer to see something during the movie. Yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah, like if you want to pan a shot of a beautiful castle, right? If you want the viewer to see that castle, then don't pan fast. Don't pan it quickly. Like you've got to think about the purpose of all the shots. You got to think, what am I doing this for? And that's the thing. And I think a lot of people don't. I'm talking about first-time filmmakers don't think that way. They need to think in terms of what's the purpose of everything I'm doing. There's a reason for everything I got to do. Everything. It's not just because. Anyhow, are you learning a lot from this chat? I'm glad you are. I've been frustrated because I want to put this stuff down in videos and stuff like that. I just haven't the ability, the energy, or anything to get them all done. But I like chatting about it. We can talk about it, and you maybe give me some inspiration to actually go out and do this. Yeah, let's see. In film production, we did every type of shot we could think of, and the editors mix it up with whatever makes it smooth. Yeah, the problem with that is it's wasteful. It's a waste of time. You're getting every type of shot, so you're setting up all kinds of stuff, and you're just wasting time, and you're wasting footage. And the problem also, with actors and stuff like that, it's just you don't always get the performance the same every time. So you want to make sure you get the performances, dialed in just right. Anyhow, that's the problem. But then again, always getting coverage is always important. Coverage is good. Do some scene breakdowns. People love them. You can really show us some science. Yeah, I gotta go. People sent me some videos to critique, and I gotta go back and do them. It's just one of those things that just. The great thing about the chat and the live streams is I can be here and honest and genuine and real with you guys, right? So I can do these and communicate as best I can through a live situation, get my thoughts out. When I do a video, because I'm filmmaker IQ, I need to edit them. And they need to be kind of polished, and they need to be well done. And sometimes I feel like sometimes I feel like also my points that I'm trying to make are just too obvious. But then I gotta get over that. Because it may not be obvious to a lot of people. But anyhow, if I do a video, a critique or something like that, I feel like I gotta hyper edit them, and it just mental blocks. It's all mental blocks. It's all in my head. So we went 3 times over budget and time. That's okay. The director is the owner of a studio. His money is work. His life goal. There you go. Well, yeah. That'll do it. All right. Well, it is 4:17. I need to go and get some food I need to eat the food in my fridge, but I need to go get some milk and get my car full of gas, and make something because we're going to have a movie night at my friend's house, and I don't know what movie we're going to watch. I'm hoping it's Rocktopusy. That movie looks terrible. Oh, no. Is he mentioning me? What is Gerald Dundon mentioning me? Oh, no. That's not good. It's like, that John has that mother idiot. I should probably collab with him or something. I think we probably get along. I have a competitive streak in me. But I hope... Was he watching the shutter speed video? Maybe that was what he was mentioning me about. I do agree using film tends to make filming a more elevated as soon as it's rolling. It's everyone's A game. Yep. I kind of love that thought process, though. Shoot what's in your head. Shoot what you need. Yeah, ideally you want to shoot what you need. Obviously, having coverage is always good because sometimes magic happens in the edit, that kind of thing. Oh, you got a new camera? You're going to go play with your new camera now? Cool. Don't leave us. I got to go, though. I finally got out my stabilizer for my gimbal. It is pretty badass. However, it will make you sweat. It is not an easy thing to carry this stabilizer with the Ronin in the middle and a C70 camera and balance it the whole thing. It's great. It looks great, but I mean, I'll probably do a video on it. I should do a video on it. So, all right, guys. We'll see you guys next week. and good luck on the commercial shoot. Thank you. Yeah, I will hopefully. I even told them I was going to do some droning tomorrow because I figured July 3rd, no one's going to be around in their city hall, so I could do some drones at the building. And I told them, let the police know I'm going to be there. And they said they assured me that they told the sheriff's office that I was going to be there, and that the sheriffs are aware that they're not going to come and like arrest me or ticket me. So if I don't see me next week, I might be in jail. All right, let's leave it at that. All right, guys. Thanks for hanging out with me. We will see you next week. Filmmaker IQ. Talk to you guys later. Bye. Bye-bye.